Let's continue exploring the universe within art and the art behind farming. I'm your host, Amledu, and there have been several requests for me to design a raid farm. So thank you all for the requests, and I really hope that you enjoy. Now, pre-121, you had to build raid farms above pillager outposts, but now that they added the ominous bottles, this is no longer a requirement. Now you can build them anywhere that you want to, and simply collect the potions by killing captains or by exploring trial chambers. One downside to the 1.21 changes is that raid farms are no longer fully AFK. But to be honest, it's kind of better this way, because we're no longer limited to finding pillager outposts. We can simply build a village trader iron farm, and then bring the ominous potions back here to activate raids to farm those items, and to get hero of the village. The iron farm trader is totally optional, but now we can get all of the cool raid drops like enchanted books, totems, and emeralds, as well as iron and discounted trades, and best of all, we can build this anywhere. Here are the basic materials that you will need in order to build this farm. Now the glass is totally optional, just so that you can see the inside of the farm, but you could always replace the glass with solid blocks. You will need a bunch of leaves though. Now everything else really just depends on your collection system, or if you want the village trader iron farm section, and all of that. The first step in building this farm is making sure that there are no mountains or skyscrapers or anything within 50 blocks of where you want to build this farm. We're going to go up by a full stack of scaffolding, and we don't want there to be any spawnable area at the top of this platform. So no builds, no cliffs, no mountains within 50 blocks of up here. The next thing we need to do is find which direction is south. There are several ways you can do this, from using a locator map or a sunflower or watching the sun. You can also look and see which direction is negative negative. That will be northwest. So to the right of that will be north, and then behind you would be south. Basically, we just need to find south because we want the trident killer to be on the north side of the farm, just because of how tridents behave. So just build a platform out of leaves on the south side of our scaffolding. And this platform can be any size, it doesn't matter, it just gives us some room to work with. But leaves and scaffolding are basically the only blocks that raid mobs cannot spawn on, so you need to use leaves. Near the end of the video, I'll talk about adding an item sorter, but for now, just start off by placing a chest roughly where you want the center of the farm to be. You could just leave your storage at 3 double chests, but the main point is that we need 3 hoppers above the leaf platform. But then diagonally up from the top hopper, on one side we need 3 leaves, and on the other side we need 4 leaves. Then diagonally up on the north side, we need to surround the leaves with a row of glass. Then 1 block above the hopper on the wall, we need to place a button. Then we need to go diagonally up with solid blocks on the south side of the leaves. And we're going to expand this into a platform that is 8 by 8. But then surrounding our platform and on top of the glass that we placed, we need to go up by 1 more glass all the way around. And anytime I use glass, it can actually be replaced with solid blocks. Glass just allows you to see the inside of the farm. But then we need to go up by 1 more row along the outside, and then on the front here, in the 4 middle blocks, we need to place 4 solid blocks. So these solid blocks should be 3 blocks above our leaf canal. And then everywhere except for those 4 solid blocks, we need to go up by 2 all the way around. Then above our front line of blocks, 1 block above the ground, we need to place a line of signs going all the way across. You'll need to crouch to place signs on top of other signs. Then aligned with those signs on the frontmost wall, we need to place a line of buttons. So these buttons will be 1 block above the other button that we placed. Then diagonally up and back from our first row of signs, we need to place another row of signs going all the way across. So when you're done, this row of signs will be 2 blocks away from your frontmost wall. And we need to place a water bucket in both corners above both rows of signs. So right there, next to the top row and above the bottom row of signs, and then right there on the other side, so that the water flows kind of toward the front and inwards. So there should be 2 blocks of air under this water. Then in our frontmost leaf canal, we just need a bucket of water on both sides. So that water should get stopped by that button right there. Then on the backmost row, we need to place a water bucket every other block and then in the corner, so that we're left with a row of water source blocks that should flow all the way up to the edge. Then above this water, we're going to place 2 rows of solid blocks so that these rows are diagonally up from our topmost signs. Then on the front side, we're going to place 4 blocks next to the 4 center blocks, then turn back around and place 4 pistons on top of these. So these pistons should be in the center with a 1 block gap in front of them. Then to the left of these pistons, we're going to place 3 solid blocks going diagonally down. We need a redstone torch on the side of the middle block, a dust on the top of the bottom one, then a repeater on top of the middle one facing toward that dust. Then a solid block on top of the dust, then place a lever and turn it on to stop the clock from ticking. Now we need dust on top of that block and on top of these pistons, then throw in 4 tridents, 1 trident in front of each piston, like so. And you can enchant these tridents with impaling so that it kills mobs even faster, thus increasing the rates. But then we need to go up by 1 more block in a square here on the back, surrounding the hole. So our walls should be 5 blocks tall from where the water is. Now we're just going to cap off the entire thing with leaves. Be sure to place leaves on top of every single block. That includes all of these down here, except when it comes to the tridents, leave the tridents as if they were a block. So don't place a leaf inside next to the pistons. Simply place the leaves on top of where the tridents are, and on top of all of the dust and everything else. Now, if the tridents ever do mess up because you left the area while it was running or something like that, you will need to break the leaves to rethrow the tridents. But there needs to be leaves on top of everything to prevent raid mobs from spawning places that they shouldn't. But now we need to run the lever down lower so that we can actually activate it. So make a line of blocks with torches on top, underneath where your lever is, and then place the lever on the bottom one so that we can toggle it on and off. So now when you turn that lever on, the trident killer should start a-movin'. And we are almost totally done. But next we need a campfire on top of this hopper, preferably a soul campfire so that it does more damage. If you have 3 chests, place a glass block or a leaf above the top one to prevent spawns. Then place upper slabs next to the campfire. I didn't think about the slabs till later on, but that helps you collect the experience while still trapping in cats and things. And if you used a different number of chests or a different sort of collection system, remember that you need to place leaves on top of everything, including chests, to block spawns. But now we just need at least a single bed and a single villager, and we will be totally done. So expand your leaf platform to give you more room to work with, then place solid blocks 1 block below our platform, place a bed on those blocks, and then break them out. Now you need at least 1 bed and 1 villager for the raids to work, but for it to spawn golems, you will need at least 20 villagers and 20 beds. So if you want it to spawn golems and have more villagers to trade with, you need to have more beds. And you can have as many beds as you want to, as long as there is no block of air above these beds, and that they are not sticking out from where your platform is. And remember that 1 bed equals 1 villager. And if you need to, you can always expand your platform a tiny bit. Just make sure that there are always leaves above any block that is sticking out. And make sure that there is no air above any of the beds, or mobs will spawn on top of them. When it comes to transporting villagers, you need at least 1 to make the raid farm work, but if you want a village trader, you need to bring 2 and then breed them up on the platform. So you can use nether portals or water streams, or if you put them in a boat and then attach a lead to that boat, you can simply go up the scaffolding and the boat will just fly along with you. You know, this can be kind of fun to mess around with, but if you move around too much, of course, the lead will break and he will just fly away. But luckily, they won't take any damage if they're in a boat. If you don't want this to spawn iron golems, you can skip ahead using the timestamps. But if you do want to have a village trader iron farm, you need to breed these villagers up. And it's really important that the villagers cannot reach the beds. So do not place workstations, do not place chests or blocks that the villagers could stand on, because that will allow them to reach the bed. And if they sleep in the bed, when they wake up, they will suffocate in the block above. But start expanding your leaf platform even more, build some walls and some cages out of leaves so that you can wait on the baby villagers to grow up. And so you should have these little chambers that are completely surrounded in leaves, that have the roof made out of leaves, that are sticking out a little bit, that have a little ledge like so, everything you see here. And then as your villagers grow, you can push them into these cells. Just push them in and then place a trapdoor right there, and they will no longer be able to escape. And remember that you need at least 20 villagers and at least 20 beds for iron golems to spawn. And you need at least one bed per villager. And before you start placing workstations, you need to make sure there are no babies in the farm. When a baby grows up, it will usually steal a workstation from an adult. So once you have all of your villagers grown and captured, place down a workstation and see which villager wants it. Then break that workstation and give it to that villager. And be sure to place the workstation directly under the trapdoor, because raid mobs can spawn on top of workstations. Also be sure that the new workstation is accepted before you place another workstation. The villagers will always accept the workstations in the same order. So if one villager accepts the workstation, but you want him to be a different occupation, just give him the workstation that you want him to be. And just keep doing this until you have given every villager a workstation that they have claimed. And of course, this works just like any other iron farm. So every villager has to have worked on the previous day to spawn iron golems, so you will need to wait at least a day after assigning all the workstations, and you need at least 20 villagers with at least one bed for every single villager. And once those requirements have been met, it will start spawning iron golems that you can then kill by turning on the trident killer. Now, looting doesn't actually affect the drops from iron golems, but now you're ready to start spawning raids. However, we do need to talk about Vexes. Vexes can go through leaves and will attack villagers if the trapdoors are open. But if the trapdoors are closed, the Vexes won't be able to see the villagers, so they will be totally safe. However, these things are super annoying, especially if they can fly through leaves. So if you're paranoid about Vexes, you can add boats up here on the leaves to catch them if they escape. This also means that if we go AFK, we will need to have protection from Vexes as well. So I recommend building your AFK spot right next to your campfire. That way the experience actually makes it to you as your AFK. And of course, be sure to place leaves on top of any block. This includes the AFK spot. That also needs to be a leaf, but it also needs to be surrounded in solid blocks because Vexes can fly through leaves. So just make sure that you are totally surrounded in solid blocks, but that none of these blocks are open to spawns, that you have leaves on top of everything. And like I mentioned before, right next to the campfire, it's good to place an upper slab. This will prevent cats from escaping, but will also allow the experience to get to you. And before you drink your ominous potion to start a raid, be sure to close all of the trapdoors, and be sure that there are leaves on top of everything. Every workstation, every chest, every block, except the scaffolding line going up, because mobs can't spawn on scaffolding. But once you've made sure of all of that, you can drink the ominous potion, hold your looting sword, turn on the trident killer, and become the hero of the village. Another important thing to discuss is lightning. Lightning will destroy the leaves of this farm, but mobs can spawn on lightning rods. So we can't really use lightning rods. Like, you could put a leaf on top of the rod, but that would kind of defeat the purpose. So instead, I recommend building a glass platform above this farm all the way up at build limit to block the lightning. And if you want to improve the rates of the iron golems and the cats and the raid mobs, all we have to do is expand this platform out just a bit. So right there where the water is placed, we're going to go back by 9 blocks. So we're going to expand this 9 blocks toward the back, 8 blocks wide. Then just surround this in glass yet again. Start it off just too tall for now, and then we'll finish it up later. But we're going to break out this back wall except for the bottom line, and then we're going to fill in the water with a marker block. So just place a solid block to get rid of the water, then place a row of solid blocks on top of those, then break out the bottom part of the wall and where our water used to be. Place signs right here where the wall used to be on the bottom, then place another row of signs diagonally back from that row. And then once we have this, we need to place water buckets along this entire row of solid blocks so that the water is trapped by the signs. Then once we placed a water on every single block, we need to break out all of these blocks, and the water should flow all the way to the edge, like so. Now we just need to place water on the back row, every other block, and in the corner, and this water should flow all the way up to our signs. Now, some cats will occasionally get stuck in this empty line, but that's okay, they will get pushed on through by other mobs at other times. But now we just need to build up the walls to be the same height as they were before, 5 blocks tall, then cover everything in leaves, and we'll now be done. So this will improve the rates of the golems and the raid mobs. And really quick, before we end this video, if you want to build an item sorter, I'll quickly touch on that. So I would recommend building it underneath our leaf platform, but you could always build this really anywhere that you want to. So we just need a hopper line, then not on the first hopper, but on the second hopper coming out of our line, we can build some non-stackable item filters. Because this, farm produces a ton of trash like crossbows and things like that. So if we just build what you see here, this is a non-stackable item filter that will pull out all of the non-stackable items. And anytime you build a non-stackable item filter, you want to build 2 of them next to each other just to catch any items that were skipped by the first one. So build 2 of them like you see here, and now we just need to add some chests, because we don't really want to get rid of all of the non-stackable items, because this farm produces totems and enchanted books, things that we actually probably want to save. So just place some hoppers pointed into some chests, and we can have as many of these chests as we want to have. Now, because we're building this item sorter close enough where mobs could spawn on it, we also need to be extra sure that we spawn-proof all of the redstone and the chests and everything. That means that we need to place leaves on top of everything that we possibly can. Now, you could always, drop the items down to the floor level, down to the ground, down below, so that you can build any sort of item collection system that you want to. You could have allays that sort the non-stackable items and things like that without having to worry about raid mobs spawning on it, or spawn-proofing. But for this video, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. Now, to sort all of these stackable items, you basically build the exact same thing as the non-stackable item sorter, you just build it 1 block lower, so that the top comparator is looking at the second row of hoppers rather than the top row of hoppers that is our intake line. And these item sorters can be tiled next to each other, but there does need to be 1 block of air in between your stackable and non-stackable item filters, because they will interact with each other. But then in this hopper pointed into the block, we need 4 stackable items in the last 4 slots that will never be in the farm, and then the item that we want sorted in the first slot between quantities of 1 and 41. And these are overflow protected, so the item that is being sorted will stack up to 41 in that filter hopper. But even if it fills up, it will never mess up. And of course, you could always turn your chest sideways. I know that most people like to do that. I personally just don't like doing that. But you can turn them sideways, that is totally fine. And you can build as many of these next to each other as you so desire. Just remember to place leaves on top of everything. On top of every chest, on top of every redstone, on top of every block. And of course, be sure to have some overflow chests at the very end of the hopper line, just in case any items get skipped or any of your chests get totally full. But how you build your storage system is really totally up to you. The purpose of this design was to be as simple as I could possibly make it while still maintaining excellent rates. A lot of designs will butcher their rates when they go to simplify it, or they overcomplicate the farms just to have an extra item or two. So I tried to find a good balance of easy to build and good rates. But if you want a more complex and polished version, or an ominous potion farm using a pillager outpost, simply stay tuned and I will get that video done ASAP. But if you have any suggestions, questions, or requests, talk to me about it down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. It's been really amazing that we can learn together, that I can share my experience through these videos, and that you can share yours with me through the comments. I have learned so much from all of you through these videos, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!